it up somehow.
Yes, my Stray Dog family, time for me to say good night, St. Kitts and Nevis. Good night to the entire Caribbean region, and I am going to say, as I ought to say, good night to the world. Because I know that many of you are in the Kittitian and Division diaspora all over the world, so I'm at liberty to say good night as well as good morning. And I can also say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. My Stray Dog family, I want to also greet my friends at WinFM as well, who have joined the broadcast, and we do partner in ensuring that this word goes out all across St. Kitts and to the wider Caribbean as well. So we say good night to all the Win Massive, good night to the Facebook Massive, good night to the YouTube Massive, good night to social media, period. If you are joining me for the first time, Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let's just in the process continue to keep St. Kitts and Nevis as one of the freest countries in the entire world. On this program, we also tried to raise the level of national consciousness. We tried to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks, as always, for providing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation, my Straight Talk family, on yet another occasion. And tonight I want to start on a solemn note as well. I've heard of the passing of my neighbor, Mr. Tuckett, and I want to extend condolences to his entire family, his wife, Seren, and his 3 children. I also want to extend condolences to his wider family. I also heard of the passing of Miss Eula Liburd as well, of my Moravian stalwarts, who I'm told has just gone to the great beyond. And we recall yesterday, our King Rockefeller was interred yesterday, and had a very good send-off, I must admit, at the Wesley Methodist Church, and really it was sad to see him go. Well, that's what life is all about. Death is just a process. And tonight, with regard to our observations in review, we normally from time to time highlight issues and we do some reflection. We also, my Stray Dog family, ask questions. We ask a few questions such as what was accomplished, how has it helped others, what has changed since we raised those highlights, or we highlighted the issues, I should say, and what can be expected next, also what we have learned from those highlights, what we have learned as a people in the process. And I want to, first of all, as well, before I proceed, before I continue, I want to as well say that, say or extend happy belated Teachers' Day to all the teachers, because you know our teachers are so important to us. They provide that foundation, academic foundation for us as a people as we go through our stages from our primary or elementary stage right up to the tertiary level. Also, teachers are so important. They are, as some people call them, our surrogate parents, in that they spend sometimes more time in a day than the parents themselves. I want to also, as a second observation, and you know, I am sometimes troubled when I see things like this happen, because you see, my Stray Dog family, many citizens are still up in arms about the hypocrisy of our Prime Minister. Many citizens are still up in arms about the hypocrisy of our Prime Minister. And why is this happening? I just don't seem to understand, because I don't think it's necessary at all. You know, why? I ask myself, just why? I ask myself, because the exposure of that hypocrisy came when our delegation to the United Nations comprised of a citizen from the Chinese mainland. And as I speak about the delegation as well, you know, we could have observed that our Prime Minister and his team, he headed the delegation. So I can say our Prime Minister and his delegation were so ill prepared and so ill advised, as we've observed that so many times since he's been in office. And everybody talked about it because it was the smallest island or smallest country, I should say, in the Western Hemisphere with the largest delegation. Could you imagine that? And delegation included 5 ministers total. That's the Prime Minister plus 4 other ministers. And only one minister was left to hold the fort. That's my representative, Jeffrey Hanley. But my Stray Dog family, today I listen to what I call a distraction. And this to me was the distraction that came from our Prime Minister, Terence Drew.
On the issue of making sure when the country get a part, Nevis can get its part as well. Mm-hmm. And so today we were able, to the Taiwanese government, make a significant donation to Nevis. Right. And that's today. That never used to happen before.
You know, I find that so hypocritical to say that they've made a donation to Nevis from funds received from the Republic of China and Taiwan. And I understand these are the funds, a second portion of the funds that were grant funded to the NIA to construct the Malcolm Gishard facility there. I don't know if it's called a park, I stand for corrected. And that groundbreaking for that facility there in Nevis, I believe, went back to 2019 when the Taiwanese Prime Minister visited Nevis and the construction started in earnest and completed just before the election. But to provide this distraction that it's the first time that money from Taiwan is shared with Nevis, you know, it's unbelievable that the Prime Minister would tell such a lie. It's nothing but a lie. I can't be diplomatic. It is just a bold-faced lie. And the Shedlock family, I'll just make those observations for tonight because I want to spend some time on the substantive matter tonight, which I refer to under the caption, "We need a Prime Minister for everybody." The country needs a Prime Minister for everybody. And why I say so, my people? I say so because 2 months ago, Kittians and Liburdians woke up to a new or a fresh government with a fresh leader, one that has no good reason to put off the issues or put off action on kitchen table issues, or as most of us know it, the bread and butter issues. Because we woke up to a fresh government with a fresh leader, one that can find no good reason to delay action, my people, on nature and climate change issues. And when one examines the record of Tim Harris over the last 7 years, any right-thinking person, any right-thinking, and I must add, objective person, and honest Kittian and Liburdian. Let me say that again. Any right-thinking, objective, and honest person would tell you that, one, the Harris-led administration brought the country from the brink of bankruptcy into profitability. Two, the Harris-led administration took St. Kitts and Nevis from a haven of crime and violence into a country where peace now abounds. Three, the record of the Harris-led administration during the pandemic was par excellence. We had to face a pandemic never seen in 100 years. And I say we, the world, I should say, had to face a pandemic never seen in over 100 years. There was no template to deal with it. We know the issues. We are just now coming out of the pandemic. And any objective, right-thinking and honest Kittian and Liburdian would say that the Life First strategy of the Harris-led administration worked wonders for us as a people and a country. And given the fact that this was entirely unprecedented, as I said, but he followed the scientific advice. Today, we have a situation on our hands and a new government that seems incapable of acting on important issues because it obviously came into office without a plan. Some suggest, mark you, some suggest that we need to give them more time. Yes. Is that a reasonable suggestion? Yes, some suggest that we need to give the government more time. And we can examine that, my people.
I would expect, though, that in the new openness and transparency that has been ushered in, that the answers would eventually be forthcoming. I think we should be equally patient and circumspect with regards to how the new government is handling problems and matters that were inherited. I mean, 2 months is an extremely short time in the scheme of things. I would expect, though, that in the new spirit of openness and transparency that has been ushered in, that the answers would eventually be forthcoming. I think we should be equally patient and circumspect with regards to how the new government is handling problems and matters that were inherited. I mean, 2 months is an extremely short time in the scheme of things.
And perhaps that's reasonable, a reasonable suggestion. But you ask the question, how much time do we need to give this government to reach out to people who are in need? There are people in need. I went to town this morning and many people said to me, Patches, nothing a go on. To use a colloquial term. Absolutely nothing is going on. On my way, I stopped by Ram Supermarket on my way home. And I met this young lady who told me that she had just found a job. I was happy for her that at least she had a job. But then she said to me, true, I'm happy to have a job as well. But this is Trust Week. In other words, she's not going to get paid this week, she'll get paid next week. And she told me she don't have $1 to buy food for her 3 children. And my kind heart kicked in. And I gave her a donation which she welcomed. But there is a view that the government is entitled to a honeymoon. Although I believe they've had their honeymoon overseas. Right now, one of the ministers is way up in Romania for almost 2 weeks with his father's sister. Are they both on honeymoon? But that's the view, that the government is entitled to a couple of weeks of honeymoon.
I think the government is entitled, like they start moving like molasses, then of course we should raise eyebrows and demand action. I think the government is entitled even to a couple months honeymoon. If things seem like they start moving like molasses, then of course we should raise eyebrows and demand action.
Imagine that. The government is entitled, understand his words, entitled to a couple of months honeymoon. And if things start to move like molasses, then we must raise our voices. Those are my words, I'm paraphrasing. But things not moving like molasses. As I said to you, the young lady said to me, nothing going on, nothing go on. So if the government is entitled to a honeymoon, whose obligation is it to start listening to those people who are struggling? So the government on honeymoon, but people are struggling. And that is the real situation in our country. There are real problems that need real solutions. The price of gasoline at the pump went up yesterday by over $1 to, I believe, $14 per gallon to fill vehicle tanks at the pump. Oil prices on the world market are increasing. And we all know the decision of OPEC. And we know what the fallout from that would eventually be. The war in Ukraine is still raging. And we know the fallout from that too. Supply chain issues, inflation, and increase in food prices, to name a few. So which prime minister are you, Dr. Drew? I asked the question. The elections are over, and the country needs to find out which prime minister you really are. Are you a Labour prime minister or the prime minister for Labour? Those are pertinent questions. Because when you examine the results of the election of August the 5th, 2022, Dr. Drew, you just cannot be the prime minister for Labour. Because the country needs a prime minister for everybody. To achieve that, you must show some maturity and stop responding to the mob. You are responding to the political mob. Get some advice from Denzel Douglas or the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Llewellyn Douglas. Because he is the only one in your cabinet with experience at the highest level. He is. Dr. Drew, you need to get some advice from your senior cabinet member who has experience at the highest level. But apparently, you're not interested in that. And one wonders why. Why are you not interested in getting advice from your senior partner in government? And you said this as well. And one has to sit up, listen carefully whenever you speak, my dear brother. You said this as well.
People voted for a particular type of governance. They voted for policies and they expect this administration to implement those. And so they understand that we have our persons who we want to put in particular positions to carry out those policies. People voted for a particular type of governance. They voted for policies and they expect this administration to implement those. And so they understand that we have our persons who we want to put in particular positions to carry out those policies.
And I asked the question, which people are you referring to? Because when one does the analysis of the last elections, and many of us may not have stopped to do that analysis, on a register of voters as of May 2022, I think it was, there were 50,973 voters registered. Again, 50,973 voters. And it always brings great curiosity and great, and many questions have been asked, because according to the Worldometer, as of today, there are 54,062 residents in St. Kitts and Nevis. Our population is listed as 54,062 in St. Kitts and Nevis. And the Worldometer provides what it calls counters and real-time statistics for diverse topics. For information that is owned and operated by a data company, DIDAX, which generates revenue through online advertising. It is available in 31 languages and covers subjects such as government, world population, economics, society, media, environment, food and water, energy and health. So the world barometer population for St. Kitts and Nevis as of today, I know there is a census ongoing as we speak, so we'll get the accurate information if that's what is needed. But a population of 54,000, we have a register of voters of 51,000 people. Could you manage that? Imagine that? But getting back to Dr. Jew, and I asked the question, which people you are saying gave you that mandate? Because when we look at the outturn of the elections, some 13,438 people voted for the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party out of a total votes cast of 29,554 voters. And maths is my strongest weak point, so forgive me if I'm not accurate, but that looks like 45 or 46% of the vote that went to Labour. The People's Labour Party got 5,036 votes, or 17%, or just a little more. The People's Action Movement got 4,737, or 16.13% of the vote. The CCM, 3,473 votes, or 11.82%. And the Nevis Reformation Party got 2,616 votes, or 8.91%. There's a Moral Restoration Movement and a Unity Labour Party. It's got 72 votes combined. But the point I'm making, that Jew, or Prime Minister Jew, I should say, is referring to 46% or 45.75% to be exact. So, I understand as well. Out of that 13,000 votes, there were just about 7,000 overseas votes. 7,000 overseas votes. We know some went to Nevis, we know some came to St. Kitts. We understand about 5,000 votes were imported, or brought home, I should say, by Labour. So of the 13,000, then you can see what's happening here, my Stray Dog family. But the fact is, we can only conclude that the mandate Jew is referring to is a mandate from New York, from Toronto, and the Kittitian and Nevisian diaspora. And that's why, no doubt, they went to New York to say thank you. But the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis needs a bold and honest Prime Minister who can hold everybody together, be it Labour, PAM, CCM, PLP, or NRP, or anybody for that matter. Not a Prime Minister who divides people just for sake of politics. We don't need that. We need a Prime Minister to reach out to people across the country, to bridge the social and political divide, and who is ready to serve all Kittitians and all Nevisians. We need a Prime Minister for everybody, who is prepared to correct the failed political system by relying on justice and the rule of law. Now more than ever, our country needs unity. The country does not need this, my Straight Talk family. The country has no need of this, I dare say.
I might be publicly embarrassing some people. Prison. I'm contemplating whether I should do that, and I'm minded more so about 70-30 to embarrass some people who might not have been corrupt, but were, I don't want to use the word I used earlier, but not very friendly towards our treasury, and I'm not going to tolerate that, and I'm going to embarrass some people.
Our country as I said, needs unity. Our country does not need that. The country can do without this attitude as well, my Straight Dog family. The country can do without this attitude.
I think it's time we need to draw a line in the sand, and we need to make sure that we have a better country moving forward. I'm not afraid of anybody, and I'm saying that straight up. I'm not scared of anybody. I was hired to do a job, and I'm going to do that job. So some people should be shaking in their boots right now.
The country needs not such an attitude, as I said. What the country needs now is a prime minister for everybody and an attorney general whose job is to uphold the Constitution and not to embarrass the citizens of this country. But the real tragedy here in our country is that every election has divided St. Kitts and Nevis and the Kittitian and Nevision people. Many are wondering, when will the day come when we will no longer be divided because of politics? Many are asking the question. We talk about governance today. But we are segregated into small corners or political silos. And then we talk about wanting to make a strong and sustainable St. Kitts and Nevis. In the Prime Minister's claim of nepotism, he perpetually vilifies a whole family because he or she is the brother or sister of a former Prime Minister, even though they were all appointed by another Prime Minister. But it is okay with our current Prime Minister to appoint a minister and make his father's sister his permanent secretary. That's not nepotism. I don't know what it is. I'm just bringing you the facts. You make the conclusions. As Prime Minister, Dr. Drew needs to be upright and honest. So this dark cloud will pass away and we all will see a flourishing St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis must be for all of us, not just for some. If not, our values would regress so far away, because it is not individuals that matter, but what matters most, rather, is the larger society. So, Dr. Drew, I implore you tonight, Dr. Drew, to start acting like a Prime Minister. Start acting like a Prime Minister now. Right now, Dr. Drew. Not a complainer or like a storyteller. For instance, you said the peace program was administered as if one man controlled everything. Those are your words. Here's what you said.
With respect to the peace, as I've said before, how it was administered, and I will say this, that it was administered almost as if one man controlled everything, and that was Len Harris. With respect to the peace, as I've said before, and what we have found, how it was administered, and I will say this, that it was administered almost as if one man controlled everything, and that was Len Harris.
And I raise these matters because it's sad. It's so sad because the facts are the peace initiative, or as he said, the peace program, is administered by a committee of some 12 persons. The peace program or the peace initiative is administered by some committee, I said, of some 12 persons. And I cannot call the names for reasons of security, obviously. But suffice to say that it is comprised of 8 civilians, 4 on St. Kitts and 4 on Nevis, and 3 of the 4 commissioners of police, as well as the National Security Advisor, Major General Saunders. So, my friend, Dr. Jew again is fabricating. I don't know if he has failed or he failed to single out the others for security reasons, or that couldn't be. Or maybe he believes that everybody is labor.
It ain't look like Labour going out anytime soon. Since the election, everybody turned Labour. Well, but if you have any sense at all, everybody would turn Labour. It ain't look like Labour going out anytime soon.
And the 2 pastors on the committee, one from Nevis and one from St. Kitts, have they turned Labour? Why they were not exposed? But the facts are the facts. And the question I therefore ask Prime Minister Jew, and he must tell the country whether he has consulted the National Security Advisor or the Commissioner of Police since assuming office. That's a pertinent question. Have you, Prime Minister Jew, sat down and consulted either the National Security Advisor, Major General Saunders, and or the Commissioner of Police, Hilroy Brandy? But Prime Minister Jew and his supporters seem to be on a witch hunt. And instead of doing the people's business, they are in a get rid of them mood. As someone said to me, the government is young and it needs people with experience to guide them. Well, rightly or wrongly, he is not listening to the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Llewellyn Douglas, the most senior member of his cabinet. But that may be understandable, because apparently Douglas said that Jew would be Prime Minister over his dead body, but Didi is still alive. He has been hiding from the media, but this recent statement is refreshing. He has been hiding from the media. I guess he's listening to President Biden. Maybe President Biden gave him a tip just the other day. But this statement is refreshing.
We'll announce soon our first press. Face the press as a team and as an administration. Now soon our first press conference, when we'll come to the press and we'll be able to face the press as a team and as an administration.
Very interesting announcement, and everyone, no doubt, looks forward to that media engagement. That engagement by Straight Talk family with the members of the Fourth Estate, as we call them, members of the Fourth Estate. We also heard this announcement as well from Prime Minister Jew. In addition to his announcement about the first press conference, he also made this announcement, I think it was yesterday, on his favorite radio station. He said this, my Straight Talk family.
We are planning our first parliament, and it's going to be at this time the very first few days in November. The very first few days in November. That is when we'll have our first parliament, and so I wanted to give that update as well. Okay. We are planning our first parliament, and it's going to be at this time the very first few days in November. The very first few days in November. That is when we'll have our first parliament, and so I wanted to give that update as well. Okay.
Very interesting, my Straight Talk family. First parliament of this government would be in the first few days in November. And what one may ask, what does the Constitution say? Because you may want to know, why are they taking so long to go to Parliament? Well, I hasten to say that they are all in or within the Constitution and the laws, because the National Assembly and Elections Act, I believe it at section 23, yes, section 23, subsection 1 reads, each session of Parliament shall be held at such place within St. Christopher and Nevis, and shall begin at such time, not being later than 180 days from the end of the preceding session, if Parliament has been prorogued, or underline this one, or 90 days from the holding of a general election of representatives, if Parliament has been dissolved, as the government shall appoint by proclamation. So, my Straight Talk family, the sittings of the National Assembly shall be held at such time and place as the Assembly may, by its rules of procedure or otherwise, determine. So 90 days after the general election puts us then in the first week in November. I believe the 5th of November, I looked at the calendar earlier, I think that's a Saturday. So then it has to be before that particular Saturday. So sometime within the week, the first week of November, we look forward to the first parliamentary session. That, no doubt, would be very interesting. But the government, though, cannot spend money unless the parliament, my people, passes budget bills to fund its annual operations. But they have been spending money. They have been spending money approved by the Tim Harris government in December last year. Nothing is wrong with that. I always contend that government is continuous. No matter what they talk about, projects illegal and all sorts of nonsense. But the budget is legal. It's not illegal, though. The budget was passed last year, December, by a parliament that was dissolved. But Parliament must therefore sit annually, and they'll have to sit before this year ends. But it also, in practice, also needs to sit to pass laws from time to time. So 3 months, and nothing is happening. Nothing go on, as they say. But Prime Minister also said recently, and most recently, he made this commitment, or he made this statement, I want us to listen carefully to.
I've said, and I'll say it again, so that I don't get 2 terms, and that's it. I think I said at one point, if 85% of the people vote and say, I should stay, then then maybe, but that was just a joke. Yeah. But I think it is important that we establish these type of things so that people, even within the country, would know that persons who go into office, they know that they're there for service, and their service would come to an end, and the baton will have would have to be passed on. Said, and I'll say it again, so that I don't get any ideas, that I'm here 2 terms. 2 terms, and that's it. I think I said at one point, if 85% of the people vote and say I should stay, then then maybe, but that was just a joke. Yeah. But I think it is important that we establish these type of things so that people, even within the country, would know that persons who go into office, they know that they're there for service, and their service would come to an end, and the baton would have to be passed on.
My straight dog family, I say respectfully, I do not believe Dr. Joe. I am even somewhat weary to believe anything that he now says. So I challenged Prime Minister Joe to put term limits on the agenda of his first parliament he said he'll have in November, if he wants to be Prime Minister for everybody. That's my story tonight, and I'm not going to change it. But I'll go to the lines now, entertain your calls and entertain your emails, my Straight Dog family. Remember, the numbers are 869-663-6672. Tell your friends or tell your neighbors. The numbers are these numbers, not the Win FM numbers. These are the numbers to call, and you'll get the program. I want to implore you, though, as I go to the lines, respect others. Of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. Having said that, I want to thank this caller for holding, and caller, you are live.
Good evening, Patrick. Hope all is well, sir.
All is well, my brother. What about yourself?
Hanging in there. I don't necessarily agree with that the new Prime Minister should be going into Douglas's face. I mean, you know what Douglas have done to the country. So I think, I vote
I take your
with
point.
you on that.
I take your point. I said rightly or wrongly, he has not done it.
Yeah, okay. But yeah. I think the ready man, if he said 2 terms, he got it 6. We don't want the power to get in his head, and he did like Douglas and went for 20 years. But right now, we got to give him a honeymoon, in my opinion. He's sound good so far. 1 or 2 things he's doing, come across labor doggish, like when he went on that show and attacking you or talking about certain things. He just got it. But he seemed to me in there, so let's see what he does. Now, PLP could have won the election, But what happened is that you guys started too late, very late, and, I see a picture you had there, the idea for the girl from number 1. I don't know her name. But there's a picture there in East Queer Street and Chaos Street. Every time I pass and see the girl, she looks like a little kid, very immature. Nobody gonna want to work for somebody like that. That doesn't give them confidence. So that was another mistake you guys made. The girl from number 1, that little kid. Look at the picture. You see how she is smiling like a little immature kid. Nobody want her. No, it's just real. No, the Attorney General, he seemed like a smart guy, a smart person, but he made a very big mistake, a terrible mistake, when he came out blazing, trying to prove his, labor dog street cred. That's below him. That's not expected of the guy, I mean, his father is a Cassie. Sit down with your father and see what you can do to make St. Kitts a better place. Because St. Kitts is corrupt to the core right now. Corrupt to the core. And St. Kitts need cleanup, and he could do a good job with this. So get away from that labor street cred stuff. You don't have to do that, Mr. Attorney General. Okay? But we need is and to be integrity in public life. Patches, you are an influencer. You got to come down hard on this integrity. I mean, the real integrity in public life. Public information. And anybody who think the public integrity in public life, they must go to jail. And you all worry yourself too much about Brantley. Brantley like attention, like most people. Nevis were not like that. And most of them are not like that. But Brantley like attention. And you're all giving that attention to them. So, you know, let's give him a chance. He seems to start all right. Let's see if he can come with that too, you know, stuff. Because Sinkers need that. Okay? But he's off on a good foot. Let's keep it going. And hopefully his dad could sit with him and help. He has a chance to improve Sinkers and make it a more civilized place. But we don't want it.
I'm sorry, go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to finish soon. I have some more things to talk about the behavior of our people. We have internalized the American ghetto culture and it's killing our people. But I'll do that next week. But I have some more things to say at another time. But the thing is that, like I said, the Attorney General had to do the right thing. Let's give this guy a little honeymoon. They made a big mistake by taking this crowd of people up to New York, and they should repay that money to the taxpayers of Sinkers and Nevis. But everything gonna be okay. And like I said, you guys could have won, but you all started late. But we still have to thank Dr. Harris here. He has done a great job, and so are you. And all the best to you. Have a good one, and you'll hear from me next week on some of these sick things that our people have internalized from America. Okay, Patches? But let's give Harris a chance. Not Harris. Let's give this guy a chance, Joe. To me, he's starting out on a good foot. Okay? I'll talk to you again next week, Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, my brother. Thanks a lot. And for those on the overseas, in the diaspora in particular, we do have an overseas line for you. It's 646-829-6672. I'll go to that line now. Caller, thank you for holding. You're live.
Good evening, Mr. Liburd. How are you?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
I'm blessed. Well, as old people said, don't ball for who going, ball for who coming.
True.
Okay?
Yes.
And I'll leave you with that this evening. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Short and to the point. As someone said to me just earlier, they said, the higher the monkey climbs, you see his backside. Use a term. But truth be told, I understand my first caller's position, and I respect it, and that's what Straight Talk is all about. But the fact is, there's no need to fabricate. There's no need to tell lies. That's the issue I have with the Prime Minister. For example, the MRI. If the MRI is being manufactured, the MRI is in the budget, the Harris-led administration budget. And he cannot dispute that. But let's go back to the lines. Caller, you live. Hello, caller. Caller, you have your radio or your equipment on? Hello, caller. Yeah, just turn your equipment, your radio, whatever you have on, and just listen to the telephone. Yes, you have something on. I can hear it.
Hello?
Yes, caller, you're live.
Put me on to Patches there.
You're speaking to Patches. You're live on the radio. Yes, you have the major. You have your radio on or your computer on. You have something on there that's distracting you.
All right.
Take it off, please. Take it off. I'll wait for you. Just take it. Just turn it off. Listen to the telephone. You can hear me?
Yes, Patches?
Yes, just turn your radio or your equipment down. I'll move away from it.
Hello?
Yeah, just move away from your equipment, Major, please.
I don't move now. I don't move it.
Thank you. I want the whole world to hear you. What's on your mind?
Okay. You ready?
Yes, we are listening to you.
There are two things I want to ask you. Two things, Patches. You know that I don't want to be long. Two things. One, do you repeatedly find yourself drawn to people who are not good for you?
That's one. Go ahead, Joe.
And the other one is, do you repeatedly find yourself experiencing a lot of frustration with the ways in which other people are different from you? Do your differences drive you apart? Answer me them.
Not at all. I've learned never to compare yourself. You become vain and not bitter. So that won't happen. I didn't quite understand the first one, but I'll take it as a rhetorical question. What's the answer?
Yeah. You want me to repeat it?
I want you to answer it.
Well, I ain't having a problem in it, but you see, you got so many differences in an opinion, right? And we don't have to worry about anything. As you rightly say, give the man a chance. He's a new man in the thing. Let's start giving him a chance.
How long?
And we will see how it goes. Because as you say, what's that? What God bad morning, got to come good evening. Is something like that you say? Or you know what I will say.
You speak for yourself, Major. I'll salute you. I salute you, Major. I salute you. I salute you. The world can see. The world is looking at me saluting you.
Okay.
All is well?
All is well with me. All is well with me.
I thought you were from Newtown. You claim you were from Newtown, but I heard you say you're from McKnight.
Yeah, I was born in McKnight. I was born in Avenue.
But you're from McKnight. You're not from Newtown.
Well, but my boyhood days was in McKnight. But then when I become adult, I spent all of my time in the Pigeon Street.
I'm just teasing you, my brother. I'm just teasing you. We welcome you. I consider one of us. But thanks for your intervention, and thanks for your input as usual. And I trust that all is well with you.
Okay, take care.
Thank you. That's the Major. Yes, again, my Stray Dog family, the overseas line, for those in the diaspora, it's 646-829-6672. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good evening. Good evening, Patrice.
How are you, my brother, Mr.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good, man. I give you thanks.
We all do.
Patrice, excuse me. I heard you said a Tucket passed away. Your neighbor. Which one is it? Elston?
No, not Elston. I was trying to remember his voice. He's originally from St. Peter's.
Okay.
His first name has slipped me. He used to work at Sol and Shell for lots of years.
Okay. I know who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to also...
I guess his name before the program ends.
Yeah, I want to also offer my condolences to my family-in-law and my family over there in Kehan. The daughters of Easter Prince and the son-in-law, Mackie Deming. Now, I heard you said earlier you were calling out the stats of the voters. And when I listened to how the stats go, I said, well, you know what it is? The old saying, who paid the piper? The piper call the tune. And the old people say, money make the mayor go. Whether the money is legal or illegal, the money does not mark illegal or legal. It marks legal tender, but not illegal tender. But like the Jamaican say, if you think I'm a Christian, let us see $1,000. They say, no, here I go in them palm. So you know what I mean? Drop your money in your man. I'm going to take it. I could sell my soul for what you want me to do. And that is what happened to a lot of people. Sell the soul. And we say in Proverbs, you know, all men are liars. You hear me? And nobody could dispute what the Bible said. There's not a just man upon earth
that do it good and sin it not, all will a sheep gone astray. And we are taught everyone to his own way. And the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. So all those that think the Bible prophesy, and they're happening today. So I'm not too surprised. But like you said, and other people call in, they said, well, let's give them a chance. Give every man a fair chance to prove himself. Because the mistake that you made yesterday, you're supposed to be able to sit down today and look at it and say, boy, I should not have gone away, I should not have said this or do that. Well, anyway, tomorrow I'm going to do better. So that is the situation of any new administration. Give them a chance to prove themselves. And like the first caller, no, one of the playback, you know who I mean? Mr. McMahon. If we see them moving like molasses, then we start at it. But honeymoon, by the time the honeymoon done, they're ready to deliver the picnic. That is too long. For honeymoon, the country has to go on. And I don't want to hear nobody say they could run the country on the Blueberry, Blackberry, and no Facebook, and no WhatsApp, nothing. That is disrespect to the people them who vote for anybody who's going to say that. And you see, the great experience, Dr. Douglas, I know the man. And if you could go back to some clippings, interviews they had before the election, you will hear certain things what Dr. Douglas said about, Prime Minister. With disrespect, and who couldn't beat who, and all that. So I know Dr. Douglas ain't feel good for anybody, any immature person in that trade to be in front of him. None, not he. He has too much experience in that, and he don't feel good. And then look how they told him that they were at each other to get to be the leader of the party. I'll let Dr. Douglas go hold. But Dr. Douglas, this country never been willed to nobody from God, but all who exist on this country. All inhabitants of this country, that is what the country been willed to. Not one person. Never. And I'm glad to hear Dr. Joe say about the term limit, but it is left to be seen. But I will come back if I got more time, more things to say. Hello?
Yes, my brother. Thanks so
much.
much.
Before I go, this last thing, before I forget it. My policy is always this. Anybody break the law, regardless of what you do, as long as you break the law, you should be judged and punished. That is me. I will die saying that because nobody has the right to do wrong. I mean, if you do wrong and you are unaware of it, then you have a chance to apologize and correct yourself. But don't deliberately go in it and think you can get away. You should not get away. I'll be back. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you very much for your intervention. And yes, it just came back to me. It's Darian Tuckett, the name. Darian, I thought I was referring to his son. My son is also Darian as well. So I must say my condolences to Darian Jr. and to Daryl, I think is his other son's name. And his daughter's name, I stand to be corrected, but I think his daughter's name is Monique. I haven't seen them in a long time, but it's Darian Tuckett. And thanks for that message as well from overseas. And thanks, that's what Straight Talk is all about. But the point is though, yes, we're talking about honeymoon, right? But it's going on to several months now that this government has not faced the fourth estate, has not come to the media. And they are just sharing information willy-nilly. So are you saying to me that a government, as it was intimated or suggested, is entitled to a honeymoon. I'm not too certain about that, how long the honeymoon should be. But there was a storm raised about the prison project as it is known, right? And a storm was raised about this prison project. But this new government comes in and continues the project. Don't you believe that this government has an obligation to tell us how much money has been raised since they took office? Because, and if the project is bad, if the project was bad, give back the money, because they must have raised money from the project, and no honeymoon can or should excuse them from providing the information. I'm sorry about that caller, and please call back. I just wanted to finish what I was saying, but this email reads, I'll take this email in the meanwhile. This email reads, let me take this call first, okay? I'll take this call and I'll go back to the emails. Caller, you're live. It's 9:07. Hello, caller.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, my dear. How art thou?
Not too bad. Mr. Liburd, when you cheat, you don't have enough time to plan. If you commit something good, carry it on. Mr. Liburd, don't bother with them. They know what labor capable for. They put themselves in it. And more worse to come. What you are bawling for? Our petition must stop gossip and see what's going on in the outer world. Anything can come to us. Best Prime Minister, give house what he can get for himself. Let them investigate, he and his brother, not none them to investigate. It's the good Timothy, our best Prime Minister, was doing, why I have to talk and want to say Timothy bring boat. So if he bring boat, why them get the people them? See you if I get back.
Thank you. Sounds like my Alice in Wonderland. Always good to hear you. Always so assertive as well. And this email reads, good evening, Mr. Liburd. Another thought-provoking session on your last program. I was laughing at the phrase "cocoa in the sun" because I've never before heard that term. On a serious note though, Dr. Jew and his followers are on a witch hunt, and instead of doing the people's business, they are in a get rid of them mood. I could understand political appointees, but I'm sure some of them were doing a good job. The government is young and it needs people with experience. Could someone tell me why the foreign minister invited the Chinese lady to sit with them as part of their delegation? No, it would be an affront to the Taiwanese with whom we have diplomatic relations. Or is he sending a message to PM Jew, simply the best, don't mess with me? The country needs to know the status quo of our Governor General S.W. Tapley Seaton. Continue to remain peaceful and watch your back. Reads that email. This other email reads, Straight Dog Family. Mr. Patches, sir, I will not for one moment blame the government for mass victimization, persecution, oppression, and intimidation that is currently taking place with Team Unity supporters. I wholeheartedly blame and attribute this scourge of punishment on hard-working civil servants to the ignorance and stupidity or stupid behavior of Sean, Grant, and Mark. Mr. Hamilton forewarned them of the serious repercussions that will follow to many of their supporters in government and the various boards, but they were so short-sighted, power-hungry, self-serving, and could not stand prosperity, devised a nonsensical strategy referring to themselves as the real unity in a new movement. Now look, what a shocking and humiliating defeat they received for their ignorance of the facts that Hamilton outlined in his letter to them, Three Blind Mice. Reads that email. It's now 11 past the 9 o'clock hour, and if you have just joined us, my Straight Dog family, we are looking at the caption tonight, we need a prime minister for everybody. And if you just join us as well, I actually made the point that we've had about 2 months ago, we've had a fresh government. 2 months ago, we woke up to a fresh government here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We woke up to a fresh leader, one that has no good reason to be putting off action on the issues, as we refer to them, the bread and butter issues, and some people refer to them as the kitchen table issues. We woke up to a new government, a fresh government, with a fresh leader, one that can find no good reason to delay action on nature and climate change issues. We also made the point, and I'll make the point again, that every right thinking or any right thinking, objective and honest citizen would tell you, and I'll tell you in a minute as I go to the lines, take this call, I'll come right back with that point. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Okay.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine.
That's the Bible man.
Yeah. You check out that thing for me?
Yeah, but I haven't got any information as yet. I'll let you know as soon as I do.
Okay. I will want it.
I could understand, my brother.
Now, I believe I can tell you something. The heart, Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9. So the heart are deceitful and desperately wicked. What is the situation, is it? If people ain't got love for this, they're not over here, so. Here, God will ask Cain, where is my brother? Where is your brother? Cain bust back out. Am I my brother's speaker? But you know, the heart where you got. If everybody got the same heart, we not think it should be better off. But people, when they really reaching up, they forget about this small man down there, and that's what happens nowadays. I don't really want to go in a long time, but I want to come out to ask the question, and I'm telling you, you take care of yourself here, Mr. Patrick.
Thank you, my brother.
Psalm 41. Psalm 41 says, blessed is the man that considereth the poor. In the time of trouble, the Lord shall deliver him. Listen here. In Psalm 8, I believe Psalm 8, between Psalm 8 and Psalm 7, it says God judges the righteous, but he angry with the wicked man every day. And he tells them if they don't turn, he wreck their soul. Now, Patrick, do you know, this minute we here and this minute we gone? So, I don't know why people behaving so. You get a position, God said to promotion neither come from the east nor the west.
And I can tell you something, you know. The last thing I got to say to you, you know. God will tell Saul, kill all the Malachi. Saul went and do what he want. And God sent back a message and woke up Samuel and tell Samuel, I rejected Saul to be king over Israel. Now, pattern in the Bible days, when a king do a lot of wickedness, only a time that God is going to remove you, you know? And that's how you must believe that when people start to cry out to God, this you know, when people start to cry out to God, God will not, know. And I can tell you something, that the last thing I can say, a lot of people don't really believe there are reverend people in saints are talking to God, you know. God is a blessed country, you know. So who want to do the wickedness? They are going to make it one of these days soon to come. And remember, Galatians chapter 6, verse 7, be not deceived, God is not mocked. Whatsoever man sow it, he shall also reap.
Thank you, my brother.
Right?
Okay.
You can't put down potato boil and expect to get yam, and so let it go ahead.
Okay.
Time longer than 2 a.m. So, Patty, see you. All the best.
Thank you. Have yourself a good night, my dear brother. Always grateful for your interventions. Always presenting the Bible verses for us here. Those 6 men who Harris fired were justly deserving of it, reads this email. Due to their indolence and laziness in failing to perform. So many things they promised and never fulfilled. They were more preoccupied with enrichment of themselves. Sean was overzealous and determined to be the next and first prime minister emanating from Sandy Point. Ironically, his partner in Nevis was hoping also to be the first Nevision prime minister. They were so egocentric, filled with abstract ideas, not realizing that they must do the groundwork if they are to be successful in an election. Sean allowed Mark to mislead him by not supporting the bill fixed for the overseas voters list. And many other bills now Mark is luxuriating in his premiership, or in his premiership zone, beg your pardon, while Sean the puppy show pleaded with Mark to allow him to be the opposition leader as he slowly fades into oblivion with Pam. What a mumu man, right, reads this email. It's 9:19, 19 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. If you're joining me for the first time, remember, Straight Talk comes to you every Monday and Thursday. And Straight Talk has now found a new partner in Win FM, or matter of fact, not really new, but have gone back home to Win FM. That's where we all started, and we've gone right back home to Win FM. So thank you, Win FM, for welcoming me back. Let's go to the lines. Caller you live. Hello,
good night, Mr. Liburd.
Good night, sir.
And good night to the listeners home on the board. Carl Brown here.
How are you, Carl Brown?
Yes. Mr. Liburd, I want to touch on a topic there that has been bothersome to several governments. It's the ruins of the Fort Thomas Hotel.
You have a radio on in the background, Carl?
No.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Liburd, is the ruins of the Fort Thomas Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
several governments now, Mr. Liburd. The last opening of that hotel, it opened for about a year and a half into 2 years. Mr. Liburd, several workers had died, leaving the money owing from working at that hotel. The former Honorable Joy Askafan was the tourism minister at that time. We were scheduled to get paid every 2 weeks, Mr. Liburd. For many weeks and some months, there was no money coming from St. Lucia because that's where the money used to come down from. We wake up one morning, Mr. Liburd, and the owners of the hotel bail out, whether in the foyer or in the middle of the night, and gone. We have called on several governments to pay the workers their money. We need our money. We work. And we were not getting paid. And all because of country above self. We were there working to make sure that our guests enjoy the stay here in the Federation. Which almost 20 years now, we need our money. One of your governments has to pay us our money.
So what money are you owed, Cal? Just for the listeners.
Weeks pay, several weeks pay after weeks pay after weeks pay. We were getting paid every fortnight. Sometimes for 2 months, you did not get paid.
And you have advanced that to different governments, you said?
Yes. The Labour government, when Joy Askafan was the tourism minister, the unity government, and now Labour again.
You brought that to the unity government as well?
Yes, many times.
Oh.
And nobody look over their shoulder. The bank in the focus get the pay out. The sugar workers get paid twice.
I have never heard that though, but I don't doubt you.
Several other organizations get paid out. The insurance company, through the whole Caribbean, Kinky branch, they get some money. Why we at the Fort Thomas Hotel cannot get our money up to now? The slogan of our country is country above self. We did that. We worked for several weeks, months without a dollar and have families and bills to take care of because we were putting country above self to make our guests happy.
Yeah, but what did the Labour Department say? I'm missing the link.
We were sent to the Labour Department, and the Labour Department was on Church Street to fill out a form and said we would get paid. We ain't get no pay. Then we were told by the Labour government after a music festival around the Fort Thomas Hotel that was over 12 years ago that we would have got paid. When we don't have several music festivals and we still ain't get the money. We want our money.
Okay, well, I empathize with you, my dear brother.
The other thing about that, Mr. Liburd, is why we have the Fort Thomas Hotel sitting down with government change, government gone. Government change, government gone. Government change, government gone. Nobody is doing nothing about the Fort Thomas Hotel. Pull down the wreck, reconstruct a new building, and put all the government offices in there, or put it as a center for performing arts. We cannot have that dung heap sitting there and not cleaning it up and getting rid of it. That needs to pull down and put up a proper structure, a modern structure, and have people working in and out of that thing. Why we up and down paying everybody loan and mortgages to the banks when they build a building? All the government office, most of government offices in rental. But yet we have Fort Thomas sitting down. We have the SIDF, they're saying have so much money in it. Why can't we use some of that money to develop the Fort Thomas Hotel into a proper government structure and put all the government offices in there? Everything would be in one place.
and stop paying off everybody's mortgage. It's killing with the taxpayers to pay everybody's mortgage. Those are my comments, Mr. Liburd. But I am saying this is the third government level since that hotel was open. We need our money. We done fix the country. We did country about self. And we starve for weeks and months without care. The people get up in the middle of the night and bail out of here. We need our government is responsible for paying us with interest. I'm gone.
Okay, I can feel your pain, my dear brother. I've never heard of that story before, though, but has to be a plausible one. And Carl, you've intimated that you work there. Well, let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Liburd, me on?
Yes, you're live.
Yeah, I see you walking in. I thought you was going to sing a song. I see the best prime minister back. They cheat him to win and still thinking about him. And if he get a job, it's how bright he is. He could manage money. They just come, they break in law and make in law. It's not him, they're doing nothing. It's the people who foolishly put them there. Come people too. Mr. Liburd asked a question, the age you work for government?
Which AG?
The same Wilkin Away name.
Of course, he's a member of cabinet.
Aye?
He's a member of the cabinet.
Yeah, but he worked before this government.
If he worked before the government? When you say if he
No, like I see somebody on the census thing nearly look like him. It was him?
I'm not aware of what you're talking about, but he...
No, they have a census briefing from 2021, but it just come on the TV. So you don't know?
I haven't seen
because it. I was saying if he does work for the government, he was stabbing all along. When a CISA go up, somebody bad to bring it down. Be like your prime minister. Be like the best prime minister. You all must be like the best prime minister. Mr. Liburd, I see two boat Monday. They used to say all kind of things and the sugar money about the pier. Just over 1 month, because they went joyride, think is them why the boats come. Mr. Grant had them in the pipeline long time. Let them say thanks to Mr. Grant and you and don't claim nothing. Have a good night. Get home safely.
Have a good night as well, my dear lady. Okay. Okay. Sounds like Alice in Wonderland. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Honorable Ambassador Patrick. How are you?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
I'm peaceful. I just want to weigh in on what you have said so far. And I am happy to hear that the current Prime Minister will be returning the monthly press conferences. I don't know if he heard my discussion on another radio station yesterday when I raised the issue, because I felt that, one, we need to reopen Parliament quickly. Dr. Timothy Harris, when he had fired the 6 cabinet ministers and put the country on notice that there would be an election for constitutional requirements, was being pressured to call an election before the 90 days requirement. So why aren't we having a scenario where the wider public is not calling for the reopening of Parliament quickly? I don't even think we should have been going beyond this month to reopen Parliament, to be honest, with how the current former opposition now government behaved. Yes? And made it look as if the then Prime Minister was doing something unconstitutional when he was within the remit of the Constitution and calling the elections within the time frame that he did.
Well, they have 90 days as well.
Yeah, I know they have 90 days.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm saying the same as my grandmother would say, what is good for the goose is good for the gander.
Okay, I got you, my brother. I got you. Yeah.
And so the same way in which they approach, which you were calling for the elections before the 90 days period.
So we
I'm saying we need to have the parliament before 90 days. Because one, the questions as to who and why this lady was allowed to attend the United Nations, those are questions that need to be ventilated within the sphere of parliament. Yes? The appointment of a PS who is the relative of a sitting minister, those are questions that need to be ventilated in parliament. Right? There are also some expenditures that are coming. For example, I heard today on the press briefing, I listened to the press briefing of the cabinet, or the cabinet note, which we are now being told that ministers' responsibility are being changed, and they're adding this to the minister's responsibility and moving certain responsibilities. Those things need to be approved by the parliament as well. Well, even though it's a cabinet decision, but the parliament needs to also have a say as to what has been done. So you can't have the country being run for 3 months just by similarly how they had the same problem with it. And so we need to move quickly to concretize our democracy. Yes?
Yep.
Now, I'm moving away a bit from that to another issue, and this is one that is quite worrisome for me. We're now seeing something that I have never seen before, which is the issue of the traveling of these ministers. Yes, I understand that there are requirements to attend these meetings, but you're talking about in less than. I'd love to see a bill. I'd love to see when the parliament is open for an estimate to be given as to the cost of these traveling for the ministers. It seems like it is just dry riding, people just going up all over the place.
Freaking flyer club.
Yeah, well, if you want to put it that way, I'll put it that way as well, you know. But it is, we live in an era, for example, when Prime Minister Harris in 2020, he did not waste taxpayers' money to go to the United Nations because he understood the realities, right? He stayed within the margins. He gave his presentation from within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. You remember that conference? Yep. You were there at the United Nations.
Yes.
You had a word United Nations representative. So I'm saying that these are some things that could be done via the platforms that allow it. You could even send your United Nations representative. You have country representatives too. You could send them to do this. You have your OS, for example. Why is the Minister of Foreign Affairs going to Peru when you have an OS representative? I mean, it seems like they did last and you are just in New York. And then this New York trip worried me. And I'll tell you why it worried me. You raised some numbers early on. And you know, numbers, some people might not know, but numbers is a forte of mine. I love numbers. And looking at the numbers, this is a minority government. And that's one thing the government has to understand. Right? And so they must become a government for the majority because they're in fact a minority government. And you so eloquently put the numbers in terms of the 5,000 that came in to vote. Whether it was about 7,000 thereabouts. But when you break down the numbers, it showed you where they went. And when you really look at it, if tomorrow morning the country is set up and upset with the type of administration and the delivery of the administration, you'll have a scenario where those in this country can outvote those who voted in the last election. And that's just the reality. So this is a minority government. But the point I wanted to make is, why is it we're not using we use the United Nations meeting with all of the ministers we saw going up? I thought that some of them would be present at the United Nations meeting, only to know that they were flying to keep a St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party convention in a different form. Yes? So this cannot be fair to taxpayers. This is one thing that could never be said about the former Prime Minister. He did not joyride across the world on the taxpayers' dollars of St. Kitts and Nevis. When he traveled to
to important functions that brought about when we heard about Dubai, when he traveled to other states to deep relations, and even the former foreign affairs minister, as bad as in the last lap they ended up being the ones to collapse the government. He did, in fact, went on travels that brought about some benefits to the country and deepened relationships. And you at the United Nations as well. So I am just really, really perturbed by this. And there needs to be a cap. There needs to be a cap on how often a minister travels. There needs to determine, is this travel necessary? Yes?
Well, you could add to that, I can tell the country what benefits derive from the travel as well.
Exactly, but you get the sense that this is just being done because I want to show I'm now the minister. So this is almost showboating, if you want to say. I know a lot of people will not like the way I'm expressing it, but it's the truth. Travel must argue, must in essence bring out a benefit to the country, not to be just at the behest of any minister to just get up and travel with no explanation. And so there needs to be a policy by the Prime Minister to deal with these excessive travel. A man was just down in Costa Rica the other day. He's now over in Antigua meeting with the Antiguan government. That's the Minister of Agriculture. So I'm saying these, on your way back from Costa Rica, you could have stopped. So there needs to be a way in which we organize this travel to ensure that the country is not paying too much. But nevertheless, Ambassador, let me not keep you too long. We need to concretize our democracy and we need to move rapidly. We have to get out of this antiquated way of doing things. Yes, and not because it's my turn now, I go and do it the way I want to do it. That's not how we should represent the country.
Okay.
So I just want to urge the government, let us lift up the standard of governance. You promise a different standard. Let us see, even attempt to do it differently.
Okay, thanks for your intervention. Sound contribution, my dear brother. Just one clarification, though, in terms of the minority government. I think I understand what you're intimated, but in fact, we have what they call the first past post system. So the party with the majority of seats, right? Once any party gets 50% or more, I think it's 51% of the vote, then that party can form government. And in terms of the majority, in terms of the popular vote, you may look at it as the minority party. But in terms of the first past the post system, they are in fact a majority government, having 1/6 of the 11 seats. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Patrick, good night.
My dear brother Jamdo, good night. How about thou?
Yeah, Patrick, what Calvin was talking about is very true, And I can't believe Calvin didn't get paid. Because I could remember when I was in charge at the hotel as the minister. And I could remember Nine Finger Jack was active on the ground. Nine Finger Jack who used to work the little one with all of us. Very active doing a lot of bad things. And Calvo should know what we're talking about. Nine Finger Jack. I can't believe Calvo gave up to no. Government come and government go. And the Volleyball fellow Douglas, and he was secret that these labor and camp people get caught. And it's bad. That's almost 20 years in the budget. That's almost 20 years. And Calvo just biting that. Watching so much people get money for different things, and man, come on, Mr. Joe, try to stop the people, Stop treat poor people, so. Man, come on, man, come on. This is a country for all of us, This is a country for all of us, Mr. Liburd. Patches, quickly before I go, I want the agriculture department to know it got 2 palm trees right in front of the Borough and sports zone. The last one top is off, and anytime now we gonna drop and drop on somebody, we don't want losing no more people. See, people are not fast in thinking. Please to move them palm trees and place 2 trees because Maurice, Mr. Winnerfield, one alone, Miss Watley in tourism, and hear me speaking tonight. See, they don't come in and then things they don't move. My place is 2 palm trees. I really want to executive one meeting with the minister and in the focus every day. And then he will go and highlight these things to the young lady. I can't believe it. I don't want to talk, you know. Because at straight talk, we can't talk. Have a good night, Mr. Patches.
Have a good night as well.
Keep on the good work going, because thank you for the voice.
My pleasure there. My pleasure always, and thank you for your contribution. Always quite assertive, always talk your mind, and always talk the truth. And only the truth can set us free. Go straight back to the lines. Caller, you live.
Yeah, Dr. Patches, I'm back.
How are you, my brother?
I'm here. No, I want to say this to the Attorney General. In his investigation, let me go way back and come forward. Is he going to investigate the 40-something million that went over to Christopher Harbour? Is he going to investigate Carl Brown the main get paid long before any unity government go in? Is he going to investigate the money that was sent to Tallahassee, Florida, for the pep workers up there who were cutting Sinkis grass in Tallahassee? Is he going to investigate that? And is he going to investigate the $16 million that the sugar workers were supposed to get and they never get it? Are you going to investigate the briefcase of money up in Nassau, Bahamas, where they take it from brush? If you're brushing, there are a lot of things to investigate. Are you going to investigate the cost of the giddy up land over there, back? Are you going to investigate the cost of the green cleaning? Are you going to investigate the cost of the two machines down on Pompe, Alla Valley, and other things there to be investigated? Please do not leave them out. So maybe that's the reason why he say in his words, he don't feel like doing certain things, but because a lot of people never friend them or be friendly with the treasury. Listen, wrong is wrong. It does not matter who do it. As long as you're wrong and it's in the public domain, it must be justified and dealt with as fairly as possible. You ain't supposed to watch no face and take no side with nobody when they do wrong. Because of who? Because of who? Well, anyway, because of the good heart of Dr. Harris when he was the Prime Minister, that's why the last sugar workers, will get the rightfully earned money. They were able to go and get the rest of the money. Patches, you have a good night. Have a safe drive home. Good night.
Have a good night as well, my dear brother. Rest well.
Yeah.
Just you.
Okay.
Be good. This email reads, Patches, I really want to commend. I really want to commend. Let me take this call and I'll come back to that. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller?
A blessed good evening to you. How are you?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Hello?
I am peaceful. What about you?
I'm fine.
I can see those.
I'm fine.
I can see those dimples now. Yes, I got the voice. How are you? I'm fine.
I thought you forget me. I
could never forget people like you. How could
I'm fine, thank you.
It's good to hear you. Good to hear you. All is well?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I am 150% agreed with culture. I behind culture with everything that he just said. And last night, I listened to a show, and I heard the man on the show praising the Prime Minister so much for the check that he gets. I thought was the Prime Minister gave him the check from the Treasury of part of the fear here. I never know if the gentleman who was in there with him give him the check to give the CCM up there in Nevis. I thought was the Prime Minister. Take it out the Treasury and give it to him. Because the way how he praising the Prime Minister, I thought was the Prime Minister give it to him. And let me say, how much did he get from the gentleman? But if you have a blessed night, I will be back. I just here listening a while. I will be back.
Thanks for your contribution, as usual. There, this message reads, Patches, I really want to commend you for the courageous steps you have taken with the implementation of Straight Talk over the years and being so determined and persistent that in spite of the opposition, Straight Talk will remain the voice to transmit the truth and facts to us. Because PAM and CCM during the campaign were drawn into a vortex of abuse with Labour against Harris, calculated to bring him down. I believe as Straight Talk has to be the viable opposition to keep the government in check. For as long as Mark gets what he wants from Joe, as he said, he will support Joe. Therefore, long live Patches and Straight Talk. I read this email. I am humbled emailer. This other email reads, Patches, the ambassador of Taiwan, handed over a check to the Prime Minister and the Premier for some sort of development in Nevis. And we Nevisions say a hearty thank you to Taiwan, but the amount of the check was not revealed. Why Nevisions want to know the full amount of this would enable us to keep a watchful eye on how the money is disbursed by the NIA. What's the amount? We want to know. Dr. Joe reads this other email at 11 before the 10 o'clock as we are now winding down. If you are just joined us for the night, I welcome you even at this late stage, and to tell you, bring you up to speed with what we were discussing, or we have been discussing all night under the caption, we need a Prime Minister for everybody. And I said earlier that 2 months ago, Kititians and Nevisions woke up to a fresh government with a fresh leader, one that has no good reason to put off, to delay the action of on the kitchen table, or as most of us know it, on the bread and butter issues. There are issues, and they have to be faced and dealt with. We woke up to a fresh government with a fresh leader, one that can find no good reason to delay action on nature and climate change issues with our water, for example, is one thing we'll address sometime in the due course. We examine the history or the record of Tim Harris over the last 7 years, and any right-thinking, objective and honest Kititian would tell you that the Harris-led administration brought the country from the brink of bankruptcy into profitability. The Harris-led administration took St. Kitts Nevis from a haven of crime and violence into a country where peace now abounds. The record of the Harris-led administration during the pandemic was par excellent, given the fact that this was entirely unprecedented, but he followed the scientific advice. Let's go back to the lines. I'll get back to that, my Straight Dog family. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Ambassador, quickly,
yes,
to come back in. I know you're on your I had, interestingly, yesterday actually, I had a conversation with a prominent person who is a member of the People's Action Movement. And I jokingly said to the person, man, we should not have done what we did, which is to destroy the government. Because I can tell you, people outside are crying now, and particularly people who supported unity, whether they were PLP or PAM. And I was shocked at the response from the person. And I would not name the person, but this person was a prominent person in the People's Action Movement, and a good friend of mine. And when I raised the issue with the person, I said, did you know, look at it when I was telling you? Because I used to say to the person, I don't think this was the right direction and this is the right thing to do. And the person said to me, to my shock, I think that had this been Dr. Harrison and in power, we would have not been treated the way we are now being treated. And so I think there's a thing now called buyer's remorse, and a lot of persons who plot to overthrow then Dr. Harris while he was Prime Minister and now feeling the effect. So as your good caller, the Bible man said, be careful what you sow, because what you reap might not be what you intended to sow. Have a good night, Ambassador.
Have a good night as well, my dear brother. Yes, that's the cry all over. I don't, it's really baffling, but it's history. And today, we have a situation, because of what you just outlined, we have a situation and a new government that seems incapable of acting upon the important issues, because it is obvious they came to government without a plan. Caller, you're live.
That is.
So,
you know what the people of Nevis want to know? How much on the check? If it is more than 400 million, well then that is fair share. But where you come from? The federal government of St. Kitts Nevis? That's all I have to ask.
Okay, my brother, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the lines. Caller. Hello, caller, you live.
Greetings, brother Patrick Liburd. How are you doing?
I am peaceful, my brother. Ras Aya, how art thou?
I hear in Standing Point, you just coming out and I have been getting meeting here.
Okay.
So I didn't get to listen to your program too fast at this point in time. So I said, let me give a call just to see what the indication of your discussion is going at.
Well, basically, our caption tonight was that we need a prime minister for everybody. We don't want a prime minister for Labour or Labour prime minister. We want a prime minister for St. Kitts and Nevis.
And I agree with that.
So that's where
I fully hardly take that here to the agreement what you are discussing. So I hope that this discussion outline that many of our people really full the job of respect to one another, and not because Labour is in no Labour think that is all about Labour. Because that is the initiative of what Labour feels to do. There is a waste of time they was promoting and saying that they will be making a better and a greater stand in how the social service and those things are implying. Because I see there's some ill will going on around here still. And I don't know what kind of condition that those people really trying to set. Because you can't move somebody and say you're removing all political appointees. But when you bring in, who you think that is? Is a political appointee you're bringing in too? So you can see, Jeff?
Yep.
Yeah, so we got to be realistic. And that's why I tell you, I'm glad I don't partake in our election because I would be an eye of fun door.
every time I see a matter of these things taking place. You see? And what I hear with you tonight, Brother Patrick, I just want to put something to change this and Nevis and the whole world. Rastafari is not crazy. Rastafari is not wearing shoes at this moment, at this time. But don't make it look like Rastafari mind is not operating. The mind is operating every day. When I rise, I give thanks and praise to the Most High, Kadamari, Highly Selassie the First, who give I and I breath to move to the earth. And take I and I to rest in the night, I give thanks and praise. You see? So, who going out and telling the mother that the son now in St. is not wearing no shoes? Tell them leave my name out of their mouth, because me not have no concern for them to go tell my mother where she being protected about me, because I could handle my own self. I've been out without my mother from since I 8 years old. I am in my 40s, me and not disrespect for my mother being out where she be, but I know who I am. My grandmother raised me to who I am. My grandmother Helena is gone. Yesterday, my father and my grandfather born strong. Michael Mills and Johnny Richard Francis. Me ain't have to be considered and concerned about nothing else but respecting who I am. That's why I'm asking the people of St. and Nevis to stop carrying news to my mother, because my mother cannot come change who I am. I love my mother to my heart. I will die for my mother, but she can't change me. Me ain't care what she tell me. I love her. So I'm going to let it be known to the public now. Because if we continue, we're going to be dead. That's what I'm telling you. But I respect you, Brother Patrick. I hope that your information that you share to the public tonight and the world, they take it with a heart of gratitude and understand how we can move as a nation, not as an individual country, as a nation, because you say it's a federation, St. and Nevis. So let us put those little petty differences behind and let us start working to build a better nation. That's what we see now. Blessed night to you.
Blessed night, my brother, as well. Always straightforward, always to the point. And that's, give thanks, my brother. That's the way we're going to end it. On that note, we'll end the calls because we are just about out of time. And yes, when you examine the results of the election of August the 5th, you must realize that PMJ cannot be the Prime Minister for Labour, or cannot be just a Labour Prime Minister. He has to be a Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, a Prime Minister for everybody. And to achieve this, he must show some maturity and stop responding to the mob. He must show that he means well. He got a mandate from whom? The Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis needs a bold and honest Prime Minister who can hold everybody together, irrespective of your color, creed, class, or political affiliation. Not a Prime Minister who divides people just for the sake of politics. We need a Prime Minister to reach out to people across the country to bridge the social and political divide, and who is ready to serve all Kittitians and Nevisions. We need a Prime Minister for everybody who is prepared to correct the failed political system by relying on justice and the rule of law. Now more than ever, our country needs unity. What the country needs right now is a Prime Minister for everybody and an Attorney General whose job would be to uphold the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis and not to embarrass the citizens of this country. But the real tragedy is, here in our country, is that every election seems to have divided St. Kitts and Nevis and the Kittitian and Nevision people. Many are wondering, when will the day come when we will no longer be divided because of politics? We seem to have gone back to the 1993 and 1995 days. Yet we talk about governance. But how? Look at how we are segregated into small corners, into political silos, and then we talk about wanting to make a strong and sustainable small island state, St. Kitts and Nevis. They claim nepotism, but look at what's happening. But we need a prime minister who is upright and honest. Unless he is, then the dark cloud will not pass away, and we will not flourish as a nation, as a federation. St. Kitts and Nevis must be for all, not just for some. If not, our values would regress so far away, because it is not individuals that matter, but rather the larger society. So I implore the Prime Minister to start acting like a Prime Minister, not a complainer, not a storyteller. If the peace program is bad, then why don't you stop it? You don't dare stop it, I tell you. The facts are that the peace program has yielded so much benefits. It's a program that has provided dividend. When you look at the prolonged period of peace in the country, if the peace program is bad, then end it. It's a program to help people through a period, or help people through the period to prepare them for the world. The Development Bank was just an agency identified to assist with the program. But, Mr. Prime Minister, we need you to be for everybody. Everybody, Tooth, Moon, and Sam. That's my Straight Talk family, the way we're going to end it. The government is a government, should be for all of us. The Prime Minister must be a Prime Minister for everybody. That's my story for tonight, and I'm not going to change it. But my time is done, I got to run. So until we connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk, I want you to be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Do your chores, take some rest, and do some soul, and get deep and introspective. Go to church. Go to the beach. Do what's good for you. And remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve, my Straight Talk family. But you first of all got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Monday, have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Keep moving on.
If things seem like they start moving like molasses, then of course we should raise eyebrows.
Until we connect, my Straight Talk family, yes, until we connect, keep moving on.
When I wake in the morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and loving care, and for my mother's breath of life that's got me here. So whatever my mind conceive that I will achieve, you better believe I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. Down on my knees, to the Lord I kneel and pray. My heart and soul beg Him to take me through each day. My guardian to keep and my guide over every step I take. He will preside. So whatever my mind conceive that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. With strength and courage from above, no man I'll fear, since God protects me with his love. Strong, pure and true, and so sincere, 'cause my knees I'll always stay to the Lord